Hi, my name's Amy Grech. I'd like to wish Sadie Hartman, Mother Horror, the happiest of birthdays and many more. And thank you so much for inviting me to participate in this extravaganza, Celebrate Horror, for 2021. I'll be reading an excerpt from my story in the One That Got Away anthology entitled Cold Comfort. It's set in New York City on a bone-chilling night. Cold Comfort by Amy Grech. Jack Massick woke with a start and flinched when he felt someone resting next to him on the spacious bed in a strange bedroom. Everything here had a place, including him. He waited anxiously for his eyes to adjust to the darkness while he tried to make sense of it all. Jack looked around and groaned when he realized where he was. Another strange woman's apartment, much larger and neater than his cramped studio. Waking up in strange places next to women he hardly knew had become a kinky rut, purely spontaneous, especially if he'd been drinking. He thought for a minute, struggling to recall the woman's name. Lately, they'd become a random jumble of desire, fueled by his insatiable libido. A moment later, it came to him. Sadie O'Grady. It fit her perfectly given her bright red hair and wild temperament. Such an unusual combination of remarkable beauty and unbridled passion fascinated him and left him helpless against her charms. They met at Mango's, a tropical bar nearby. Hazy smoke lingered, dense and brooding, creating a hypnotic ambiance. Lou Reed crooned sweetly in the background. Lust filled the tight, dark space, oozing across the bar like precious liquid gold yearning to be tasted. Jack drank in the crowd, admiring the bevy of beauties ripe for the picking, dressed in alluring outfits that clung in all the right places, accentuating choice cleavage and other valuable assets. That's when he caught a glint of metal out of the corner of his eye and snapped out of his daze long enough to remember his wedding ring, a simple silver band on his right ring finger weighing him down. He slipped it off discreetly. Jack held it tightly in his palm for a minute and felt it grow warm before slipping it into his pants pocket. He should have stopped wearing it by now, with Mary gone 6 months, but her hasty departure still gnawed at him, a bone of contention. He had been drinking apricot sours, numbing the pain, staring at his third glass, trying to decide if it was half empty or half full, when she appeared, an unanswered prayer, and sauntered over to the only empty bar stool left in the place like she owned it. Her perfume, sweet and light like lilacs, captivated his senses, reminding him of happier days. The girl wore an emerald green sleeveless dress that left little to the imagination. One look at her and he knew he wouldn't be going home to his lonely studio apartment chock full of bad memories. "You look thirsty." Jack rested his foot on the lower rung of the bar stool and lost himself in her intense green eyes. "What you drinking?" he asked, slurring his words. "Nothing yet. I just got here." She rubbed his leg with the tip of her shoe and watched him shudder. "I have a girlfriend." He shoved her away and frowned apologetically. "Then why isn't she here? Lovers quarrel?" "No, Amy had to work tonight, so I decided to go out. I need to clear my head. I've got too much on my mind lately." He stared at his half-empty glass. Almost time for a refill. "I'm glad you came." She ran her fingers across the bar. Make yourself useful. Buy me a drink, if you insist. Jack smiled, looked her over, and forgot about Amy for a while. Pick your poison. A zombie, she whispered, her breath hot and quick in his ear. I could just eat you up. The girl licked her pink lips slowly while he watched. Is that a threat or a promise? He rested his hand on his chin. You'll find out soon enough. She twirled a lock of curly red hair. What's your name, sweet thing? Jack gasped and polished off his drink for courage and slammed his empty glass down on the bar. Jack Masick. He leaned forward and extended a large bony hand. And who might she be? Sadie O'Grady. She shook it. Her grip was firm, warm. The pleasure's all mine. Sadie gave his hand a sudden bone-crushing squeeze. He winced and felt his knuckles pop under the strain. Wow, that's quite a grip you've got there. You caught me by surprise. Jack bit his lip, stifling a scream. Thanks, I work out. A single girl's got to protect herself. This is a tough town. It will swallow you whole if you aren't careful. Sadie released his hand and let her eyes wander slowly up and down his slender physique. What's a cute young guy like you doing alone in a dive like this? There is a first, he thought, amused by her daring overture. It's ladies' night, Jack chuckled. I'm here to buy drinks for lovely ladies like you. She shook her finger at him. I doubt your girlfriend would approve. I promise not to tell. Sadie folded her arms. Have you brought anyone else drinks yet? You're the first girl to pique my interest. He waved the burly bartender over and ordered a zombie for her and another apricot sour for himself. Amy would have a fit if she knew I was out here. Jack winked. You've got spunk and you're brutally honest. You're a rare find. Amy's a very lucky girl. Sadie grinned. She takes me for granted. Jack blushed and took a final swig of his apricot sour. Where do you live? You're not East Side material. I can tell. You're too rough around the edges. He examined his throbbing hand and found no harm done. I'm from the West Side. I haven't figured out how to blend in. Maybe you could teach me. I'm a fast learner. I'd be glad to show you the ropes for a price. Her foot inched higher, grazing his thigh. Jack shivered in anticipation. Name it. Your pride. Can you handle that, Jack? Sadie shrugged. He snickered, relieved. Sure, I've got plenty to spare. Consider yourself lucky. I'm feeling generous tonight. It's a rare occurrence. She ran her finger across the bar. What brings you to this side of town, looking for something new? He felt the crotch of his jeans tighten instantly. Maybe, if the right girl comes along. Am I the right girl? She placed her hand between her plump breasts and watched his dark blue eyes settle there. Absolutely. Jack smirked, raised his glass, and polished off his drink. This half of the city seems less crazed. Sadie nodded. It is, and it makes it really dull if you ask me. A girl has to search hard for excitement. Isn't it worth the extra effort? He raised his eyebrows. She shrugged. Sometimes. Jack looked her up and down. You look luscious. Sadie licked her lips again. Are you hungry? I'm ravenous. He nodded, thrilled by dumb luck. God, you're gorgeous. She laughed, long and hard. She laughed long and hard. God had nothing to do with it. Fair enough, Jack smiled expectantly. The bartender set their drinks down on the bar. Jack handed him a 20 and a 10 from his tattered wallet. Sadie hoisted her enormous glass. Here's to chance encounters. I'll drink to that. He raised his drink, spilling some on the bar. She plucked the cherry from the zombie and lowered it into her mouth slowly. Intrigued, Jack looked on. What you up to later tonight? He gulped down the rest of the apricot sour and dabbed his mouth with the cocktail napkin. She drank her zombie. That depends. On what? Jack stared at her intently. What you have to offer, Sadie winked. Thanks for watching. The book's available in all the usual places. Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com. Take care.